Hello and welcome to Dul Johnson's Creative Talks once more. I'd like you to be my co-driver on this trip. And for you to be my co-driver, of course, you must like what I'm doing. So if you've watched my previous videos and you like them, and if you like this one, make sure that you share and subscribe, right? Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to discuss something very, very simple. My whole drive in this series of videos is to help budding writers understand a few or some of the rubrics of writing, the few that get people confused, or the many that get people confused. I try to help them understand. I try to explain in the simplest ways possible so that they can understand and be able to write beautiful stories, okay? Now, one of the most complicated problems that beginner writers have faced, especially when I teach my creative writing classes, I see that my students always have problems with this. Of recent, it has been a debate in my class, so I want to share this with you. I'm talking about plot. Now, I've talked about plot in previous videos, but I'm not going to talk about plot per se or how to do a plot. No, I'm going to talk about types of plot, because you really need to understand the types of plot that exist so that you will be able to make a choice. And I will advise you, of course, also on how to make a choice. Now, you may have read books that will tell you about many kinds of plots. I have known a variety of plots, some of which I do not even want to. In fact, there is a group that is known as no plot. I do not want to go into those complications. I just want you to understand the simple, flow of plots. I insist that we should usually look at three types of plots. That there is the linear plot. And by linear, I mean the plot that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 100, or A, B, C, D to Z, right? Which means the story begins and flows in the sequence of events as they happen naturally till the end. That is a linear plot. Now, there is what I would refer to as a simple plot, but which is not linear. Simple in the sense that it does not take you here up into the ground, left, right, center, and so on and so forth. So, it is not the kind of plot that, let's say, begins with, say, F, then comes to A, goes to Z, comes back to P, and so on and so forth, right? A simple plot would be a plot that does not go sequentially, but does not have events arranged in such a way that you get confused, okay? So it is simple enough. It can go A, C, B, or A, D, C, B. But the events are arranged in such a way that you are still able to follow them simply, right? But there is also what is known as a complex plot. And that is the type that will go to Z, or start from Z, come to A, go to F, move to W, backwards to X, whatever. Now, so the events in themselves are filled with such complicated subunits that you really need to do an arithmetic to be able to understand what is going on in the story. In one of my previous classes, someone brought up the issue of Wole Soyinka's The Interpreters and raised the question of complication and whether it is a virtue or a crime in writing. Of course, I wouldn't judge Wole Soyinka, but my explanation is that writers have reasons for making the choices they make. I'm not saying they don't make mistakes. There are those who may be complicated, complex, because they just want to show off. Now, if the story doesn't appeal to the reader in its complexity, you haven't achieved anything as a writer. So let me come back. The linear plot is usually not the advisable way of telling the story, right? And this is because your story becomes predictable. In future, I might come with examples of books that have this kind of plot so that I can share with you or ask you to read them. A story that goes A, B, C, D, E, F to Z obviously becomes predictable because if you are an intelligent reader, by the time you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can predict what will happen in 7, 8, 9, and so on and so forth. Right? So it makes the story less exciting or even not exciting at all. And indeed, it is those kind of stories that you find them to have a lot more telling than showing. Now, for a simple plot, we are saying that the writer decides that this is a story and I'm going to engage the reader. Therefore, I do not want to go by A, B, C, D to Z. I want to be able to rearrange the plot in such a way that events trigger the next event, right? That is what we call cause and effect. Something happens that triggers something else that is going to happen in the next chapter. So that is still simple enough a story you are following, and it is exciting. Okay, for example, you could read my Across the Gulf, which readers love a lot. It's a very simple story. It is not linear, but it is quite a simple plot, you know. Now, the complex plot, there are writers who are known as the greats. A great writer, a very, very experienced writer, may be able to handle a complicated plot, and yet readers will enjoy it. And this is because he has worked the plot in such a way that he has given you mathematics to solve. And by the time you finish and you solve that mathematics, you feel fulfilled. This is where this man was leading me to. Why did he have to take me here? Why did he have to lose me at so many points before? But you feel happy that at the end of the day, you have succeeded. You know. Let's take a story like Animal Farm, for example. It's quite a simple plot. It's not a linear plot. It's quite a simple plot, right? But it's exciting in the sense that it takes you left, right, back and forth. But you can put everything together at the end of the day and feel very excited that you have read an interesting novel or an interesting story. I hope that I have helped you a bit to understand the three kinds of plot that I want you to have in mind. Do not think about other plots as I talked about yet. When you become experienced, when you become an experienced writer, you can then decide to experiment with other kinds of plots and even go into the very, very complex plot, right? But for now, I would advise you to stick with the simple plot. Thank you for watching. And again, let me repeat that if you love this video, please share and subscribe.